After getting swept in Cincinnati, the Dodgers have done what they're supposed to do and beat bad teams. They've won 5 of 6 and now head into a big week on the East Coast. Let's get locked on Dodgers.
You are Locked On Dodgers, your daily Los Angeles Dodgers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yo, Dodger fans. Welcome to Locked On Dodgers. We are part of the Locked On Podcast Network, the #1 local sports daily podcast network. Locked On, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by SupplyHouse. SupplyHouse.com is the reliable way to get parts fast. Shop for your next plumbing, HVAC, or electrical job and get fast shipping from coast to coast at SupplyHouse.com. This is a daily podcast covering the Los Angeles Dodgers, bringing you the smart fans' perspective on our boys in blue. You can find us wherever you find podcasts and on YouTube. All you got to do is search for Locked On Dodgers. If this is your first time listening or watching, welcome. My name is Vince Samperio, usually joined by co-host Jeff Snyder, but just covering for me this week as I go on vacation. So it's just me today. Jeff and I are both lifelong Dodger fans that have covered the team for a decade now in various capacities, with one of those capacities being this here podcast, Locked On Dodgers. Jeff and I have talked a lot of Dodgers in our life, and we're going to continue to do so every Monday through Friday for you, and that's what we're here to do today. Apologies for no live episode. I wouldn't plan a trip the day after or the day of now. You're supposed to move out of your apartment. A lot of things happen, so I wanted to, and also my internet might go out because it's supposed to end, so we'll see what happens. But didn't want to risk going live and something happening. So we're here for you, coming at you probably in the morning now. So you can listen on your way to work or wherever you're doing. And the Dodgers won 2 out of 3 from the Rockies this weekend. Jeff and I have talked a lot about the best way to win a series that's not a sweep. And it's usually lose the first game of the series and win the next 2 or 3. That's what the Dodgers did here. They lost on Friday, came back and won on Saturday and Sunday. By no means was it a pretty series win. By no means was it a dominating series win. But it was a series win nonetheless. And at this point, that's all you can ask for is beating bad teams. Dodgers now won 5 of 6 after getting swept in Cincinnati. We'll get into a little bit about what's coming up this week for the Dodgers. But we'll just kind of break down each game real quick. We'll get into a shout out to the pitching, starting pitching and relief pitching, and then talk a little bit about the bottom of the order some more, because we got a rumor that the Dodgers might be looking for bottom of the order help. Obviously, that's duh. So the Dodgers on Friday lost that game. Walker Buehler. It was an interesting Walker Buehler start. He ended up going 6 innings. He did give up 4 runs, 3 of them earned. I would even say maybe 2 of them, I don't know if they combined or not, but one runner got on base because Miguel Rojas didn't field one, and it was given a hit. Rightfully so, it was hit hard, but that's one you expect Rojas to make, so it was a little bit interesting that he didn't make that play. Then Andy Pages misplayed a ball in the outfield that allowed an extra run to score. So it was, not the greatest performance for Buehler. He was struggling a little bit. He gave up 4 walks, just didn't quite have that command. 6 hits, 4 walks. He did strike out 7, and going 6 after what was a little bit of a struggle there in the first few innings, giving up 3 in the third. Good to have that length. And, on offensive side, the Dodgers scored 1 run, and that was not enough to get the win. Top of the order did not do anything, and bottom of the order got on base a few times. Lux had a couple hits. Paez had a couple hits, but that top of the order could not come through for the Dodgers. The run they did score was when they did load the bases there late in the game, and then for the top of the order, which is what we've been asking for, and then Mookie hits into a double play, and Dodgers only get the 1 run. So a little bit of frustrating, on Friday, but then you get into Saturday, and you get Yamamoto on the mound, and you're hoping that there's a better day. And Yamamoto had a solid game, another 6 innings, 7 strikeouts, just the 1 run allowed, just 1 walk. Did allow 7 hits, but didn't end up hurting him. He gave up that run in the second inning, but then the Dodgers put it to the bottom half of that inning and never looked back. Again, And okay, Mookie Betts did homer on Sunday, but that was his only hit of the weekend. He's been in it a little bit here in the last week, 2 weeks or so. So hopefully he gets back on track. Ohtani also did not really hit this weekend, had one hit this entire weekend. He's down to 326. Mookie's down to 319. So those guys are, falling a little bit here. Freddie Freeman had a solid weekend, had a homer on Sunday, a couple hits that day, a hit in one game hitless, hits in all the other games. So, yeah, the Dodgers put up 1 run, 4 runs, 4 runs. It wasn't a great offensive performance. The standout was Andy Pages, though. Andy Pages had a big weekend. Whether it's Rockies pitching or whether it's him figuring things back out remains to be seen, but it's the same Rockies pitching that shut down the rest of the Dodgers. He had 2 hits. He had 2 hits and then 1 hit and then 3 hits over the weekend. So a big weekend for Andy Pages. Hopefully that means, he's been hitting better of late. He's been hitting the ball hard and had a little bit of bad luck. Now some of the luck's starting to go his way. So hopefully that's a sign of him being making those adjustments that he needs to make, and putting the ball in play and everything else, and so hopefully that's what's going on in a sense. And then you got Gavin Stone, who went just 5 innings on Sunday, but only allowed the 1 run, 4 hits, 6 strikeouts, 2 walks. Gavin Stone's been on a little bit of a run here recently. We've talked about it before. His last 7 starts, he has a 1.64 ERA, 31 strikeouts. In 44 innings pitched. So shout out to him. We'll talk about him a little bit more in the next segment. So that's basically the quick recap of the weekend. It was not the best weekend for the top of the order. It was a decent weekend for some of the bottom of the order, and the Dodgers are just lucky that the Rockies aren't that good. But again, that doesn't take away from the wins. You still have to beat bad teams, and the Dodgers did do that. 2 out of 3. They won the series. So, you can't get too upset with winning a series regardless of how it looked. The Dodgers could right back turn it on this week and in a big week now, and, things could look bright. So speaking of the week coming up, the Dodgers travel to Pittsburgh and then New York to face the Yankees. The Yankees coming off, they've been hot lately. They've been really good. They just smacked the Giants around over there in San Francisco. Aaron Judge and Juan Soto are playing like Mookie and Shohei were playing earlier this season. They've kind of the new duo of the moment. They've really been, Aaron Judge went from having a really bad first month of the season to now leading the league in home runs and him and Juan Soto are making Oracle Park look like a hitter's park. So, that's obviously exciting that when the Dodgers get to play Yankees. That's, now we get to see it more often, but before that was a big time matchup, and it's still a big time matchup. Now we just get to see it every year. But yeah, so that's going to be a big weekend series. But before that, the Dodgers head to Pittsburgh, which Pittsburgh, nothing to write home about normally, but the Dodgers do get to face their top guys in Jared Jones and Paul Skeens, 2 rookies that have been really pitching well for the Pirates this year. Skeens just came up. I believe he's made about 3 or 4 starts, and the last 2 have been really, really, really solid. So, it'll be interesting to see how if the Dodgers can get to him and Jones, and try to take that series in Pittsburgh before they head to New York. So it's probably not the best time to face good pitching, and maybe the Yankees hot offense maybe, but good Yankees pitching has been really good too. So maybe not the best time for the Dodgers to face that, but also a good time to just kind of see how they stack up a little bit. And as a baseball fan, it's going to be fun to see them go against Jones and Skeens and then head to New York for the weekend. So I'm excited to catch what I can catch on vacation out there and see, hopefully the Dodgers can get some big wins. So the pitching for the Dodgers has really been good as of late, especially in the month of May. We're going to get into that. So make sure to keep it locked on Dodgers. Today's episode is brought to you by SupplyHouse. Get supplies from the site that's made for the skilled trades, SupplyHouse.com. SupplyHouse.com is a reliable way to order plumbing, HVAC, and electrical products online. Their easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get the job done right. Shop a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from over 400 top brands and get your order delivered right to your door with fast shipping from coast to coast. Need help with an order? Get expert support and industry-leading service from the friendliest folks in the business and talk to a real person every time. Pros in the skilled trades can get a competitive edge by joining SupplyHouse.com's free Trade Master program. Every Trade Master gets access to a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every order. Join the thousands of trade pros already benefiting from their free membership at SupplyHouse.com/TM and order plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies from anywhere with just a few clicks at SupplyHouse.com. Want to thank you for making Locked On Dodgers your first listen of the day. Make sure to find us where we get podcasts and on YouTube. And if you want to become an everydayer, you can listen or watch every day. We're here for you every Monday through Friday. And that can be made easier by subscribing and get notified when episodes are ready. I know we've been going live a lot lately on YouTube. You'll get notified of that if you subscribe. You'll get notified on this episode after it comes out and after it drops because we didn't go live today. So remember, you can, if you're already on YouTube, you can go to Locked On Sports Today, Locked On Sports Los Angeles, 24/7 streaming channels from the Locked On Podcast Network. And you can check out Pete Fox on Locked On Dodgers postcast after almost every game. And he's there on the Locked On Sports Los Angeles, and his audio is on our audio feed. So make sure to check that out. All right. So even though the Dodgers didn't sweep, they still got good enough starting pitching over the weekend. Buehler was, like I said, the one. Got undone a little bit by some bad defense, a little bit self-inflicted. But then you look at the bullpen, and the bullpen came in and pitched every game and didn't allow a run, which was really, really, really good. The Dodgers saw innings from Hudson, Trinan, Evan Phillips was back and looked pretty nasty. You got Grove. The Dodgers stretched out Grove to 2 innings on Sunday, which is not the ideal situation that I believe he should be in. But, hey, he only allowed a walk, no hits. So, maybe he's figured something out. And then you got Vesia, Daniel Hudson, Anthony Banda, Yohan Ramirez, and Vesia on Friday. So all those guys pitched. Some pitched multiple innings. None of them allowed runs. That's an ideal situation. And, you kind of look at the month of May for the Dodgers, and, they were pretty good. And you look at the season in terms of relievers, the Dodgers have the 3rd best ERA for relief pitching and the 2nd best whip. So that's really good. They're not racking up the strikeouts like some of these other bullpens. The Dodgers currently rank 17th in total strikeouts, even though they rank top 10, number 7 in total innings pitched. So now they've had a couple bullpen games. So, a little bit here and there, some guys that they probably shouldn't use. But at the end of the day, like with Trinan, Hudson, and Evan Phillips now back, and then you got Vesia and Grove pitching the way they have been, that's a solid 5 relievers that Roberts can go to. And then the other one is Anthony Banda, who hasn't allowed a run since being called up after being claimed on waivers. So, he talked a little bit about working with Connor McGinnis and how that's really been good for him. And, a guy from the left side that can throw that hard and can mix stuff up and get outs is huge. If that's settling in that Dodger, like that's now like 6 relievers if you count Banda. Obviously, he might go through some growing pains here and there in the next few weeks, but that's you could do a lot worse than those 6 guys in your bullpen. And then Yohan Ramirez has his stuff, just doesn't always know if he's going to throw. You don't always know if he's going to throw a strike or not, but definitely has his stuff to play up, and was able to do that over this weekend. So the relief pitching, despite not having Joe Kelly, despite Brusdar Graterol suffering another setback, who knows when we're going to see Graterol now? The Dodgers basically have shut him down from throwing again, and we'll see what happens there. And yeah, it's been one of the better parts of this team, that bullpen. And then the starting pitching, we've talked about how they had a little bit of a rough patch here and there recently, but they've turned it back on. You got Gavin Stone, like I mentioned, 1.64 ERA in his last 7 games. Like that's elite stuff. On the season, he's got his ERA down to 2.90. in 62 innings, 11 games started. So, he's not just, flash in the pan right now. He's pitching really well and making a case to be one of those Dodger All-Stars. Every year they seem to get a pitcher that's not Kershaw or whoever their main pitcher is at the time. And, maybe Gavin Stone's going to be that guy this year. Yamamoto, continues to make his case. He's now up to 6-2 with the 3.32 ERA. Again, he hasn't been necessarily dominant, but he's been consistent and solid, and that's really what you can ask for. So, shout out to the Dodger pitching, really coming through. And honestly, if the pitching hasn't been where it's at, this month looks a lot worse for the Dodgers because they haven't really been hitting. And we've talked a lot about how this team operates, and the good starting pitching leads to more of your best guys in the bullpen, which helps out your offense because you don't need to score as much. But it's one of those things where the pitching has really been holding it down for the Dodgers. The offense has been up and down this month of May, but the Dodgers were still able to fare pretty well and finish the month. I think 17-10 is what they finished the month at. Let me see. Yeah, 17-10 in the month of May. 120 runs scored, but just 82 runs allowed. So that's definitely really, really, really good. And then now in the month of June, 8 runs scored and only 1 run allowed. So, the Dodgers pitching is their strength right now. Bobby Miller pitched over the weekend, had a little bit of a dip in velocity. Don't know if we got the update there, but hopefully, nothing there. And then the Dodgers will have to make a decision when he does come back. But it seems like Bobby's going to make at least one more start with OKC and could make another start after that if things aren't all the way back. So the Dodgers are going to buy themselves a little bit more time because they can. And they want to make sure that Bobby comes back and he's right and, not facing anything else. So all in all, can't really complain about the Dodger pitching. Obviously, they've had games recently where they weren't good, but overall, they've been, good on the year, especially that bullpen. And, they have one of the best ERAs and team staff ERAs in the entire league. So we only hope that can continue. So now the Dodgers, bottom of the order. We talked a little bit about Paez and everybody else having big weekends, but could the Dodgers be looking at something else? There was a report about that. We'll get into it, so make sure to keep it locked on Dodgers. Today's episode is brought to you by PrizePicks. With PrizePicks, you can turn $10 into $1,000 in a single game watching your favorite sports this summer. You can make a PrizePicks lineup in as little as 60 seconds. You just need to pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections, and you're locked in. PrizePicks is America's #1 fantasy sports app with more than 5 million members. I'm a big fan of PrizePicks. All you got to do is make your picks and put them in, lock them in. You can, go as low as $5 and go as high as you want, as far as I know, and see what happens. If you had put, one of my favorite ones for baseball is it's hits plus runs plus RBIs. So it's a combination of hits, runs, and RBIs for players. And, if you had jumped on, usually Mookie and Freddie are set at 1.5, and you can get that demon, which is higher points, but it goes up to 2.5. If you had picked Mookie and Freddie over 2.5, you probably would have a nice little multiplier score, and you would have won in that first inning because Mookie had a hit, an RBI, and a run, and Freddie had a hit, an RBI, and a run because they both hit homers. So go check out PrizePicks. It's as easy as that. If you had just picked those guys with the overs or more, you would have connected on that, and you would have won yourself, a little bit of some dinero. So go check out PrizePicks right now. This is a perfect month to try out something new as basketball is winding down. You can try out esports this month because for every Wednesday and Saturday in June, if your lineup doesn't win, you'll get your entry fee back. That's choosing from Counter-Strike 2, Call of Duty, League of Legends, and more. So go check out the PrizePicks app. Download the app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. That's PrizePicks app, code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. PrizePicks, pick more, pick less. It's that easy. Thank you for making Locked On Dodgers your first listen of the day. Make sure to subscribe and get notified when episodes are ready. And remember, you can go beyond the podcast and become a Locked On Dodgers insider at joinsubtext.com/LockedOnDodgers. You'll get news and updates and our thoughts when things happen instantly, text directly to you. You can also text us back and ask us any questions or submit questions for mailbag episodes and get priority and all that type of stuff. So there's a lot to get into with the Locked On Dodgers insiders. So go do joinsubtext.com/LockedOnDodgers. All right, so Dodgers, bottom of the order has been a big issue, obviously. And it appears that the Dodgers are going to try to address that, probably also obviously. So what can the Dodgers do? And we talked a little bit about that this last week. And, the names that first came up are Tommy Pham, Tyler O'Neill. Those are the two we talked about the most. We talked a little bit about Bo Bichette. That's not necessarily the bottom of the order, but it pushes somebody to the bottom of the order if the Dodgers were to acquire him. Willy Adames, I don't think that's going to be happening anymore. The Brewers have pretty sizable lead there in the Central, and I don't see any of those teams catching them. Some other shortstop or player might emerge from there, but it's probably not going to be a star player. I don't think. I think it's definitely going to be either a platoon or somebody on the margins. But I wanted to talk a little bit about Tommy Pham, especially because of kind of what happened on Sunday in their game. And, I don't think it was a huge issue, but when we think about Tommy Pham, you think about, him slapping Jock Peterson, and you think about him, calling out teammates after leaving a team. And you think about what happened Sunday when he was thrown out at home plate. It looked like a fair slide to me. The pitcher for the Brewers got really hyped up. Tommy Pham got really hyped up. And then after the game said, basically, this is what I trained for. I'm ready to throw hands when need be. And depends who you ask. Some people might think that disrupts the potential. That might potentially disrupt the Dodgers' chemistry. Or you look at the other half of people and they think that that's what the Dodgers need. And, we heard last year that, Mookie Betts and a couple of the Dodgers were kind of petitioning for the Dodgers to go and get Pham. Didn't end up happening. He goes to the Diamondbacks. He doesn't play amazingly well, but the Diamondbacks did make it to the World Series. I think that's more of a was it correlation, not causation type of deal, but or whatever the wording is. It's late and I've been moving all day. Sorry guys, but yeah, I mean, I think that there's arguments for both sides. I personally think that the Dodgers clubhouse is strong enough to bring in a guy like Tommy Pham, who doesn't necessarily have, a true, it's not a issue of, domestic violence. It's not an issue of dogging it on the field. It's not an issue of anything else other than being a different type of personality. And I'm not going to sit here and say that the Dodgers need a type of personality like that, but I'm also not going to sit here and say they couldn't use a personality like that. I do think, the intensity gets brought up a lot more when Tommy Pham's on your team. And I do think that that's not necessarily always a bad thing. So I'm in favor of acquiring Tommy Pham if that's a deal they decide to make. I don't think it's a matter of, just go get Tommy Pham because the Dodgers need that personality. I don't think of it that way. I think of, hey, if he can help and that's the move the Dodgers make, then I'm on board with it. I don't think it's going to disrupt any chemistry. I don't think it's going to affect anything else the Dodgers have. While they're not outlandish and outspoken leaders, the Dodgers do have leaders. Mookie Betts being one of those, Freddie Freeman being one of those. Miguel Rojas kind of stepped up into that role. Obviously, Kershaw's always going to be in the mix there. Austin Barnes, The Dodgers have a lot of veteran players already, so I don't. And those guys have, with Kike back in the fold, and we'll see how long Taylor lasts. But a lot of these guys have been around together for a while, so I don't think that would be an issue. Now the production is more of the issue there, and obviously Tommy Pham. It would be, I don't know about annoying, but it would be kind of, obviously it's all going to depend on what they give up. But like if you give up anything of value for Tommy Pham when you could have just signed him, that the Dodgers didn't necessarily need an outfield. Like they didn't expect. They got Teoscar Hernandez. Like Teoscar Hernandez is much better than Tommy Pham, and they expected James Outman to be good, and then they expected Jason Hayward to, be good against right-handed pitching, and that it hasn't all quite worked out the way they want. But Pham so far this season, he has a 733 OPS. He's hitting 280. He struggled of late. He came on strong early on. In the last 2 weeks, he's hitting 238 with an OPS under 650, it looks like. So not ideal. He struck out 3 times on Sunday. So, it's not something that's going to be a end-all, be-all for the Dodgers. But I still think, I'm not saying the Dodgers shouldn't explore trades. Yes, explore trades. I still think that the bottom of the order is going to get fixed by guys playing better. And if not, then, yeah, the Dodgers are going to be a little bit in trouble. And I think that's kind of the big issue there, because you're not going to go out and trade for 3 guys to be your 7, 8, 9. You're going to have to trade for maybe 1 guy, maybe 2. But even then, like, what if they don't work out? Now you're in the same boat that you were before, and maybe you lose a couple prospects. I do think, Andy Pages is obviously going to be a key part of that. If he can get through that rough patch, make those adjustments, and start hitting again, not even as good as he was at the start, but, good enough, that's going to improve. Gavin Lux, it's one of those where anything could happen to Gavin Lux, and I'm not going to feel strongly either way. The Dodgers could send him down tomorrow, and I'd be like, well, he didn't perform. The Dodgers could continue with him for another month, and, I'd probably be on board with that because the trade deadline is not till the end of July. So you have time to continue to let that evaluate as long as the team isn't bad. The Dodgers went 17, as bad as everything was, the Dodgers went 17-10 in May. And that's with a lot of these guys playing bad. So, like, the Dodgers are going to have the ability to figure out and wait and see what they have. And I think they're going to give Lux that chance to continue to see what he has when it comes to, Muncy. Max Muncy had another setback. He felt something when he was swinging the bat. He's been shut down, and who knows when we're going to see Muncy at this point. Oblique's always a tough one. The Dodgers thought they caught it early, and maybe they did. But even then, it's one of those ones that can linger and just kind of stay there. And, that's what happened. He was swinging the bat, felt something in his ribs, and, now he's shut down again. And who knows, maybe we might not see him until July now. The one good thing about that is if the Dodgers can keep pitching well and keep hitting well enough to continue to win, is that you can give Miguel Rojas a little bit of an extended look and see, okay, is he healthy and had, an offseason where he saw live pitching the whole time and he's hitting well, or has he been hitting well because he's mostly been in situations where we believe to be maximize his ability? And I think that's a big part of this next month, or while Max Muncy continues to be out, is to continue to evaluate Miguel Rojas, because he's perfect for the bottom of the order and the fact that he doesn't strike out a lot. And sometimes that's all you need, and he can provide that. And if it leads to some hits and you have some stronger defense, then, hey, more power to it. So I do think that's something that's going to happen here. And again, all this stuff, Lux could break out, Rojas could be legit, Pages could figure things out or continue to figure things out. And the Dodgers still could trade for someone, and probably still should be looking to trade for someone. But I do think internal right now, they have time. is what I'm saying. No, I don't think internal is the guaranteed answer. I think internal is the answer for now until it compromises the winning on the field. Like if they have a losing month in the month of June, then yeah, I think you maybe should look a little bit harder than you have been looking, or look to make a move before the actual deadline, maybe early in June, July, or mid-July. So there's still a lot to be desired from that bottom of the order. But I do think that the bottom of the order can fix itself. And the bad part right now is that when the bottom of the order has played well, like they did on Friday, the top of the order is, now the one struggling. So it's that's just the way things go sometimes. It's not always going to be a linear. It's not always going to go the way you want. And I think the Dodgers are in a good spot to where they've built themselves up a lead in the division. They're playing well overall, and I think they can let guys try to figure out. And you may not agree with that approach, and that's fine. But I do think, unfortunately, that's where they're at, and that's all they can really do. Like, there's not anybody really down in the minors knocking on the door waiting to be up. And James Outman has gone down there and performed relatively well, had a big weekend, but again, that doesn't mean he's going to get called up and would be back to the James Outman of 2023. So there's a lot, but like I said, I'm not opposed to the Dodgers looking and trying to improve, and I'm also in favor of not being in a rush. So we shall see what happens. But yeah, this week's going to be a big test for this offense in terms of facing some really good starting pitching. And, then the weekend will be a test for the pitching to face a team that's really hot. So, all right, that's going to do it for today's episode. Thank you all for listening. Thanks for making Locked On Dodgers your first listen of the day. Make sure to find us wherever you get podcasts and on YouTube. Make sure to subscribe. Make sure to tell your friends and family or any Dodger fans in your life about us. We're here for you every Monday through Friday for about 30 minutes. Remember, you can go beyond the podcast to become a Locked On Dodgers insider at joinsubtext.com/LockedOnDodgers. And remember, if you're on YouTube, you can go to Locked On Sports Today, Locked On Sports Los Angeles, 24/7 streaming channels from the Locked On Podcast Network. You can find us on social media, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Locked On Dodgers. Jeff is on Twitter at Snydog. I'm at Vincent91. And DM us if you have any questions or comments. You can also send those via email, lockedondodgers@gmail.com, or via voicemail text at 323-863-5625. We're here every weekday morning, and we hope you'll be here with us. When you get in your car, if you're at home, play your smart device, play podcast, Locked On Dodgers. And remember, you don't have to agree. You just have to listen. Have a good one.